Let's do it. Let's get started.
Yes.
I'll start sharing my screen then. Once again, entire screen, share, and yeah. Okay, all set. Let's start it.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, I'll try to keep it short. But so yeah, so I went ahead in this program. It was Internet of Things embedded systems, and one of the project that we had was to make this R2D2. This is from Star Wars. I was never a Star Wars fan, but like you play the cards that you were dealt with. So the R2D2 robot we had to make, and so some of the features that we worked on were like, since this robot was remote controlled via Bluetooth, we had to fine tune the backward forward movement of the robot, and we had to redesign the battery management system. So before the project had started, the we had multiple batteries, and I'll tell you why we had multiple batteries when we talk about the schematic of the robot. Um, so we kind of undid that and created a framework for the battery where only one battery was needed. And then we had a separate code working on the head of the R2D2. These were some of the features that we worked on. And so this is one of the full scale picture of R2D2 that was the end result of the project. And I think you might have seen this already, so I won't waste your time. Uh,
No, I can see it again. It's a
all right.
wonderful
Yeah,
rendition.
yeah, no, it's like, yeah, it was nice. I was really happy with the end result. So yeah, uh, at times it was frustrating, but it was cool. I mean, the end result was really cool. Uh,
Did you
yeah.
engineer the whole robot? Did you build it from scratch or like it?
Yes, yes,
You did?
yes. I was from scratch. Yeah, I was from scratch. A lot
Whoa.
of things this were like carved. So if you can follow my cursor, this thing is like wood. This
Okay.
is wood.
Whoa.
Yeah, this I did not do.
That's a
This we had
revelation.
yeah, that's a revelation, right? So we, in order to make that the arm part more durable, right? We did not go for 3D printing because if we do the entire frame on 3D printer, it would be very weak and it won't be able to take up the load from the weight of the motors that are attached. So this was
Okay.
wood. I had nothing to do with the woodwork, but these things are 3D printed. These are 3D printed. The whole this thing is 3D printed, and this is 3D
Whoa.
printed.
Whoa.
So
That's
if you can
big.
see, yeah, no, it's a big process. So if you can see, like there are some separation here on the dome, right?
Yeah.
This side. So these separations came because these are not built at once. So the 3D printer that we had was not huge one. It's this one. I can show you what 3D printer we had. We had this one, MakerBot. This was uh, the exact model that we were using, and it's not small, and but it's not big either. And when you compare it to the size of the robot that we were looking at, so what we had to do is uh, make this make this parts join each other. So all these were individually printed, and then they were like stick together using glue.
Okay.
I think we used a lot of glue. Yeah,
Yeah.
epoxy glue. We
Epoxy.
used a lot of epoxy glue, and
Okay.
yeah, so that's why there are some separation. There was first advantage was like it made it happen. The second advantage was even if it fell down, and we it dropped a lot. Like when we were testing and the control movements were unpredictable, it would drop a lot. So instead of breaking the structure, these things will just pull out, and you can again put epoxy. It was a whole process. The printing process is excruciatingly painful. It's really long, and sometimes the material that we are feeding to the 3D machine um, uh, runs out, and so this part alone took more than 2 days to print.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'll show you the process of it because I had it especially for you. So what I'm going to
Thank
do
you.
is this is the yeah, no problem. This is the best part of the presentation. I mean, because the major thing you have already seen, like okay, it moves. I know, but I think 3D printer was your main focus. So I'll show you that. So what happens is like you design a 3D printer part that you want to 3D print uh, in STL format. So this is the format. It's a very common format for 3D printer software such as I know there's Autodesk. I know there's one more famous one. I'm blanking on it right now, but there is. So you get a lot of STL files, and this was one of the part that we wanted to print, and it's called potentiometer holder.stl file, and this is the MakerBot software on cloud which you can use. So you just have to upload the STL file,
Okay.
and you know, so it comes this way, and it tells you the position your component will be printed on the replicator plus bed. And if you want like, oh, I want a bigger size, you can always increase as well. It will scale up for you. And if you want like, oh, I want this to come here, to print here, and I can print another part here. For example, I can have multiple parts here. So you can have print multiple things, although it's of no use. It's basically, I mean, you can, if you're leaving for the night, you can give like, oh, I want three other parts and it will print it for you. But to me, if you are present at the near the printer, you would probably do one part at a time. But yeah, so this is the common thing. It takes the dimensions, and this is PLA is the material that is built off. I can show
So
you.
can you show
Yeah,
me more parts as well?
I don't have because it's like classified information. So, and I'm
Okay,
done
okay,
with the
okay.
course, so they restricted my access to those files. I cannot carry it
Okay.
with me.
Wow.
This is I have.
So
I had.
that's like a in-house technology that they have developed.
I wouldn't say that. It's just like they don't want to share it with ex students. And now I'm an ex student now, so they don't want to share it with me, which is
But
fair.
there are a lot of
But
3D models available, right?
yes, that is what I was saying.
Are there like available of this scale?
Yes, they are. I can show you Thingiverse.
Thinking.
So,
These are
for example,
completely new websites and everything to me.
oh, okay, you should see. See, this is
Thingiverse.
3D printing. So you can print this, and I 3D printer itself is it's a very exciting piece of technology, and this machine was like what 5,000 cats or around 3.5 lakh, which is okay. I mean, I don't see anyone
Actually,
investing this much in India, but uh, it's nice. For
yesterday
example,
we had like shops like photocopy machines. Today we
yeah,
require shops like
I actually had a business idea about this, and in Bangalore there is a company which does that. Like you send them your designs, and you tell them your specification, they will print and ship it back to you.
whoa.
Yeah, so same. Okay, so let's do. I just downloaded this thing, uh, this Cyclops visor, and let me just import it and see if I can print it on my printer. Obviously, I don't have a printer right now, so I can't print. I just the preparation of
How
printing.
much time will this take? Like this model that we
Yeah,
have
it will tell
downloaded.
you. It'll tell you. It will tell
It
you
will tell.
everything.
Oh,
So
nice.
yeah. So second. Hopefully, okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and delete potentiometers because potentiometer. Okay, so this is the complaint it's having, which says like, okay, Hmm. So right now it's complaining that models outside from Raft is not wholly contained, which means um, this part is too big for this printer. What you can do is I'm gonna scale it back by some. I'm gonna make an 80% of it so that it fully fits into the printer. Yeah, 78. I don't have an error. I can make the 90% of it without error. Okay, at 92 it starts scribbling. I'm gonna just drag it a bit back. 93, 94. Okay. Yep. I actually can also move the plane to which it will be printed, but generally that's not advisable. But
So, okay, so you also mentioned IoT. What were,
yep.
like you have been working on IoT for a long time, right?
No, actually no. I was a DevOps engineer in software industry for 8, 9 years. Then I
Right.
wanted to change. I got bored of it. So I thought like, okay, there's a 1 year program in IoT in Canada, a relatively okay college. It's not one of the top colleges. It's a community college, but wanted an experience, right? So I just
Oh,
went ahead. I was interested in that. But now I'm back in the market for DevOps job, as you must have seen from my screen. I
right.
realized like I like cloud. I like cloud computing. The job market in Canada is horrible. Do not come
Yeah.
here, or if anybody is planning to come here, say like don't come.
Okay.
It's really hard. It's really bad. Um, but yeah, I mean, as a country, it's not a good country to move to right now. Right now,
Right now,
it was. It
my
was
brother
three,
is
4 years.
planning, my cousin brother is planning to move. Not planning, he is moving actually to Canada.
Uh, does he have a job offer already? Because if he has a job offer,
Yes.
then it's a good country. Then fine. It's okay. Yeah, it's
Acha,
okay.
you needed, so they also don't consider the gaps, or they don't consider what is like what holds them back from hiring quickly, since it's already a
I don't
such.
know. I don't know. I'm so confused right now. I thought I'll be having some calls already, but it's tough. I'm not even getting calls, and I've got like what 9 years of experience, and which is
9 years
good
of
amount of
experience.
experience.
Yeah,
Yeah,
regular. And not like, unlike me, like I took many breaks.
yeah.
Like
I
the
didn't. This was my first break.
this was your first break, and how many
Yeah.
months it has been?
I stopped working last July. I moved here in July end last year.
Okay.
Program started in September and it ended last month. So yeah, I mean, I wouldn't even say break. It's like job plus continued education, and now
Right,
looking for a job again.
right. So did you get to code, or what were
Oh yeah,
the?
I'll come to that. I have a whole code to share with you, which is since I created it, so it's my property and I can share it with you. So yeah, okay. I'm dragging the conversation. We're veering off. So okay. So this
I'll cut
is
that
the
part.
design. Yeah, no problem. That's okay. I don't care. I don't mind. So once you have set up the file, you have set up the object on the platform. You have to give print preview, which actually starts slicing your model vertically, and that is where you get to know the exact amount of time it would take the printer to print it as the unit, and it takes some time. So right now it's trying to slice. So think of it that way. If I have this object, now if you have to divide this vertically into very small chip type of material, I wouldn't say material, like so if you think like blade, if you take a blade and you start cutting everything very thin, you'll get slices of things, and that is the basic principle of 3D printer. So it prints those thin subpart of the object, and then it just builds up on top of it. So a lot of things together put makes this 3D object, and that is the whole formula or mechanism for the 3D printer. And it will take 5 hours. So see, if you see the slicing happening here, so this is here how your object will be printed.
So is it more lighter than, like, let's say you have showed that headset box, right? So
Yeah,
so is this the 3D printing is more lighter than the actual weight?
it is. It is lighter. So right now the stats is like the 3D printer will take 5 hours, 4 minutes to print something off the printer,
Whoa.
and yeah, 5 hours, which is you don't run out of the material, you don't run out of the electricity, it doesn't go out, software does not glitch. I think replicate. I had very good experience with Replicator Plus, so I never had those type of issues. And it will need 76 gram of material, so understandably, your thing would weigh around 76 or less.
Right.
So 76 gram, and this easily is more than that. This is So yeah, 3D printer was never meant to be the exact thing. Like it was always have been for prototyping things so that you can send it off to production units, and
Right.
that is the use case. Uh, you can get a lot of other 3D printers which can work with a lot of other custom type of materials, but generally you will get something called PLA, a flexible plastic, and yeah, so this is how it works. So this is the material that you feed into 3D printer. This is the PLA. Actually, this is a really good example of printing Pokeball with Bulbasaur, Pikachu, Squirtle, Charmander,
Yeah.
and yeah, the only thing is you can have only one type of color of PLA at one moment of time. Mixing them, I don't know. I mean, it might be possible, but I don't think so. It was possible in our case because Replicator Plus is unicolor in nature. And I think if you compare it to a conventional printer, you'll get that conventional printer have three cartridges for color: cyan, magenta, and yellow, and it makes all the color out of it. And then there is only black. So it's whatever is the difference between a black and white printer and a color printer is the same between a single PLA 3D printer and multiple PLA 3D printer. So to me, the best part of the robot was this physical manifestation of the parts. Um, I'll tell you something. There is something called astromech.net. So this is a website which you can go, and they have a dedicated website who have been building this R2D2 for 20 years now. They have been building, and everybody goes ahead and shares their models, modules. I am also willing to accept that some of these models we had like taken from Astromech and then try to modify according to our specifications and dimension wise. But so you see the thing, like you can draw the parallel that we also have this, they also have this. So a lot of these things are available. Some of the many things like potentiometer that I showed you in the first part, that is something that we designed. We had a guy, he was very good in AutoCAD, and he ended up Autodesk and AutoCAD. Yeah, he was on CAD. Uh, he was able to design that, so that was nice.
Whoa. That
To
that is
yeah,
actually a nice thing to know about AutoCAD. I had
oh
like
yeah,
I had the idea, but in my journey in these 2 3 years, I almost forgot that. Yeah, that is also very potential software for 3D printing,
oh yeah, for sure. And honestly, like
3D
if
making,
you are with 3D
3D building or 3D making, more
3D
than 3D
printing.
printing.
I'll just say 3D printing. I'll say
Yeah,
3D assembly. I mean, the vernacular is up to you, honestly. But I would say
I'm
if
a
you are a
modeler, na.
designer,
I'm trying to become a
exactly.
3D modeler for 3D printing as a freelancer at least.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they definitely go around and look into these sites, Thingiverse. Um, you get a more idea how people are. This is a very articulated demon dragon somebody has built, and
Oh,
so QR scanner and everything. So people are building a lot of crazy things. It's nice to know. I mean,
I
honestly,
saw on YouTube that we have mixers, right? The
uh
mixers, regular mixers we have in our home. So any
mhm,
plastic part, if that gets broken,
mhm.
suppose even the fan sometimes which moves the blades is made of plastic. So
Oh,
sometimes
okay.
such utilitarian things gets broken. So that
You can
can be
also
easily
put it
fixed
there.
with 3D printing, I think.
I like the idea. It definitely depends on the material that you're using for printing. Yeah. Software
Yes.
PLA that I had access to, I don't think so that would work.
Right. Oh,
But
very practical insight because not that technology is not really available right now.
no, it's available. Don't get me wrong,
Like
it's available,
affordable.
but it's on the expensive side. It's on
Yeah, yeah.
expensive side.
Expensive side.
Yeah. So I wonder that again, Shailesh, no, honestly, I've thought about it like back in India, can we like invest 20, 25 lakh and get a 3D printer machine? And the problem is demand isn't much. Like we're not at that inflection point where, people are running towards, oh, I want get this to be 3D printed.
Right, right.
A lot of people who are interested, they have their own 3D printer, which is something the range of 3.5 lakhs. And that gets the job done, sure. But for something which is more, industrial purpose, those 3D printers are expensive. I think my other teammate who was with me, he has his whole business back in Delhi is the solar panels and roofing of the solar lights in the street light. And he ordered a CNC machine, costed him 35 lakhs, which is industrial grade, but things are expensive there. So maybe the one which does that so-called utilitarian thing might be around 10 lakh. This might work. This might be working with PLA Plus, with Replicator
It's
Plus.
good for a
Might,
reel.
yeah, I mean, it's like, चलो भाई रात में खत्म हो गए भाई नहीं चल रही मिक्सिंग में आज चला दी print करके. The another problem I'll tell you is कि 8 बजे आपकी मिक्सी खराब हुई. वो प्रिंट करने में 3 घंटे ले लेगा तब से बोलेगा हो गया है कल सुबह ठीक करा लूंगा. That's the problem.
तब तक कोई बड़ी कंपनी
So
ऑलरेडी उसको कस्टम करके प्रिंट करने लगी.
exactly,
चीपर चीपर कॉस्ट.
the more expensive it is, the faster it is. But again, that depends on material. Like PLA is easily melted. Uh, I think it got melted at 215 degrees Celsius. Uh, Metal would be much more, but again, with bigger machines. I think one of the bottleneck right now is the time factor and
Right,
material, and that is something we not in our scope. Physicists are working, material science people are working on it maybe,
right.
but I'm just laying out like people even with PLA are able to do a lot of these things. I want to do this. I want to check this. How downloading into very interesting. I mean, Dragon.
142.
Uh, what I fixed? 148 MB is if 148 MB is the file.
This is all free without even signing up.
Yeah, this is all free. You cannot. I think you cannot mass model it because it has a license. But apart from that, it should be okay. 148 MB is the highest file that I have seen. Oh, no, go back. It will take time to upload 128 MB. But yeah, I mean, from 3D printer point of view, you know what you're against, right? Like a lot of people are doing really amazing things, and I have nothing but respect for people who actually delve into arts because I still cannot draw an apple. So yeah, and it's really funny. Modeling, the demand is there, 100%. I think I was applying to some jobs yesterday. There's a company called Zynga. They want someone who do 3D model designing for Harry Potter game, which is nice. I mean, if somebody is doing it, yeah, it's an amazing thing. Have you considered the impact of AI? I don't know whether AI can draw 3D models yet. I don't know that.
I
I know
think
they're good with 2D art.
it's like, right now I am a video editor.
Okay,
So what we are using is mostly assets. We are actually
okay,
a person who are compiling things together.
okay,
So whoever has made it manually is is a better project manager to compile it all together,
right.
supposedly compared to a person who has never done it. So
That's true.
yeah, it is reducing jobs very significantly, but if we gotta stay in the market, so we need um, right questions, right prompts, right process, understanding of the process. I think those people will really
Yeah,
take over gradually. Right now, the
yeah,
papers are also very important. You need to
yeah.
show your skills like loudly. You have to show it in different formats and different reports in form of blogs or something.
That's true. That is what I'm struggling with right now. How do you advertise yourself out there in the community? Like, I know I can do it because I've been doing something for 9 years. I definitely can do that. But how do I tell someone in an interview, like, okay, pick me. I can do this. How do you do that? So, yeah. As for the AI taking jobs, I had a very interesting talk because AI was one of the chapters we had in our course, and generally people were very apprehensive about it. Okay, why do I even need to read software engineering book when AI can do it? And my teacher is like, yeah, it's think of it that way. AI can do this, do that, but you still need, it can give you individual parts, but you know how to put it together. You still need a human for that.
Yeah,
It might improve your efficiency, but in the longer term, it will create something else. For example, the computing power.
yeah,
The computing power is going to go up. And I think I was reading yesterday something that said, like, for a LLM, um, typical LLM to expand apart from the demos what they have been showing, they need exceptional amount of computing power, which I don't think so right now they have.
right,
Which is
absolutely. Because right now there are different industries like health. They are all the stakeholders are coming together to share the data so that the decision making becomes better, and everybody is able to find out key what are their strengths and work accordingly to keep building their businesses. So in that, to crunch that big data, of course, and like even one computer, if we develop, if one quantum computer is developed, that will resolve for lakhs and lakhs of businesses. So they are already developing IBM Watson.
yeah, Watson is like old news now. The last I knew is like, I don't know if something is happening in qubit, but probably that might be the answer you were saying to me, quantum qubits, which again is too much physics for my this thing. I have no idea how that works. So, by the
Right.
way, our this dragon will take 6 or 12 minutes, and if I start printing, it will get over by 8:27 p.m. tonight, which is decent. Like given the design and everything, I like
Yeah.
it. Damn it, I should
Can
have
we
printed
zoom
it
in
when I was in it. I guess.
yes, yes,
Yeah.
further? What is that, the base that is made?
Okay. Okay. So the base, what happens is, what 3D printer usually does is like it will melt some of the plastic in this shape so that your thing will get printed on that thing and not directly on the bed, so that
Okay.
you can detach it later. So it's of the same material. The blue
Same
part
material.
denotes the actual design. The gray part is the added base by the 3D printer. You don't want to print something directly on the bed.
I'm sure if I was a kid, I would really want to print this at home. Like I would get,
Hmm.
some kids might want PS, but some kids might want these days 3D printing.
For sure. I, yeah, you can, change different look, the top view, side view. So, yeah.
Wow.
And yeah, so
Okay.
these are the slices. If you can zoom too much into it, you can see the slices there, which will be bundled together.
Right.
I've never seen this page, so I can't say anything about
Is
the
it like
layout.
you can keep it in any room, or is it separately air conditioned like CNC and other machines?
This one was pretty much you can put anywhere.
Okay. They are
Pretty
that
much anywhere. Yeah, they had
sturdy.
no. Canada is a cold country, so I'll say that. So it doesn't have that heating issues. It's a cold country. Yeah, but yeah, this was the by far the best part of the presentation is over. So I'll try
What?
to. Yeah, I mean, 3D printer is the best thing. I came up with. I had the most fun printing stuff. But yeah.
This
All
is
right.
the tech.
So this is the electronic part of
Yes,
it,
yes.
and this is where the IoT came into the picture. So I think the project was primarily based on this particular Raspberry Pi, and we had one Arduino in the head part of the R2D2, which is not there on the schematic right now, but yeah. Um, so this was we had a 4GB Raspberry Pi, and this was so we had two motors, one for each feet, and these two motors were connected to the Raspberry Pi using this motor driver. MD49. It's an expensive $70 driver. And then we had another motor for the head so that you see the rotation, which was being controlled by a 12 Sabertooth 12, 2 cross 12 and motor driver. Uh, and this was comparatively, of less power. So these two motors needed 24 volt. These two needed this one needed 12 volt of supply, and this was an LCD screen that you can see coming out of the R2D2 belly, which shows the status of everything. And
Right.
uh, and then we had something for so the R2D2 was the Raspberry Pi we connected to a remote controller, PS controller, and then using this NRF24 module, we can wirelessly communicate from the Raspberry Pi to the separate Arduino using wireless module. So that you press a button and something happens on the Raspberry Pi. Well, that is straightforward because those two are connected using Bluetooth. But the controller is not connected to the um, what was it again? I keep forgetting. Arduino. Yeah, Arduino. So, and that connection was made through NRF module. So you click something on the controller, Raspberry Pi registers it, sends to the NRF module, and NRF module then sends to Arduino, and Arduino had a separate code of making flaps up and go and for the lighting. It was. I think this was the most challenging part here. The NRF24 is highly unreliable for me, at least. It's a complicated piece of machinery for me to understand, at least, because you're essentially taking something wired and through electromagnetic transference of waves, you're trying to send data wirelessly. This is the basic of your wireless router as well. So I found that challenging. Make it reliable. I think out of 10 transmissions, 7 times were successful, 3 were failure, which is not amazing, but okay. You know,
It's working.
the whole thing, yeah, it was working, and the whole thing, was driven by. There was no complicated code involved. It was simple Python. If you were thinking I will be running C++, C code, nothing like that, Python did the work, and it did amazingly well. The Arduino code, however, was written in C, which was again not very complicated. It's pretty straightforward code.
Like,
Um,
what does the coding includes? I mean, is it the tasks you are telling that move right, move left, or what? What does that include?
okay,
Like, and
so yeah,
what like the Raspberry Pi, is it just like you buy it and you fix it, or what? Do you have to do anything in that as well?
You have to. So I'll start off with answering your question about Raspberry Pi. So the Raspberry Pi it's costs around $90, and it comes with an SD card. So you have to burn your SD card with a Raspberry OS operating system, and and then it starts working out of the box. So it's
Okay.
kind of a mini computer for you. It
So
has
what does
HDMI
that
port.
card includes? SD card.
Oh,
Does that
nothing.
include
You just
any
have
kind of
to.
information?
No, 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 nothing. You have to get it from internet. Raspberry OS, which is free. It's open
Okay.
source, so you can just download it, load it in your SD card. It's the same way we were trying to install Windows on your laptop in 2007 when we were in 10th class. So you put a CD, you put a CD, you boot from the CD, and the OS gets registered. The same
Right.
process. You get the SD card, you burn the OS on it, boot it from the SD card, and the Raspberry Pi is functional from there. So it's
Okay.
kind of a mini computer. That's it.
So, and Arduino, is that
Arduino,
the
yeah.
Arduino? So that is the motor chip. Is
No,
that a motor
no,
chip?
no, no. No, no, no. Motor chip is separately different. Arduino, I have not mentioned in the schematic. Arduino is not a computer, but it's a microcontroller. So the difference between is like microcontroller do not have enough memory. They have something around 14, 16 MB of memory. That's it. And they're pretty low level. So that you can't have exquisite amount of logic being written on Arduino. So they can do simple things. Raspberry Pi can run your advanced applications like Python. It can run a lot of stuff. It is Wi-Fi enabled. It has its own Linux operating system. Arduino does not have anything. It has a simple interface which write code and it will just run the instructions that you write for it.
So where is it? Have you used that as well?
Yeah, I
You
have used
mentioned that
Arduino in head. Yeah,
in head. So
yeah.
you you had set of instructions, and
Mhm,
you put that in Arduino, and you put
mhm.
that chip in the head.
Yep.
Okay. So how do you put the code inside a chip like Arduino? How does
Yeah.
that work?
It has both of these things have USB interface. You just have to plug it in with the
Okay.
computer. That's it.
Okay. Okay. So what were the
So,
instructions for the head?
instructions for the head for like we had 3 servo motors connected to Arduino and press a button that servo motor will move and make the flap up and down. We had LEDs connected to Arduino, so you press a button and the LED changes pattern, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah. You should definitely catch up on Arduino. You can do a lot of simple thing and interesting things on Arduino. I can share you a couple of videos that I have from my projects in Arduino, and yeah, it'll be nice and
It's a nice
fairly simple
technology,
interface.
but right now I'm far-fetched from
It,
using
it's
that kind of tech, I think.
I can I say something? ChatGPT it did make this thing very easy now. It gives you the code that you want to, and just have to load it. You can
That's
learn from
true.
it retrospectively. So if you were to like, again, talking very candidly, we always thought about this business idea in India, and the problem is demand. Like I know people are doing some hobbyist or making up stuff in North America and Europe. Like they have their own Arduino kit. It's very popular here. I don't think so in India anybody will be like, oh, I want to go ahead and buy a Arduino kit for 6,000. People will laugh at you. They'll be like, what? इससे तो जॉनी वॉकर ले लेते हैं, तो क्या है, गोल्ड लेवल पी लेंगे. तो लेकिन अगर आप आर्डिनो खरीदने जाओगे तो फिर बोले क्या पागल है, घर वाले बोलेंगे शादी की उम्र हो रही है तो तो वो प्रॉब्लम रहता है. तो डिमांड नहीं है इंडिया में. द ओनली थिंग वी कैन टारगेट राइट नाउ इज प्राइवेट स्कूल्स कि
Right.
नहीं सबको चिपका दो एक एक. वो है, but it's very interesting. I think there is some certain degree of awareness in metro cities, but in my opinion, if you have to succeed in India in business, you have to target lower middle class. If lower middle class gets it, middle class and upper middle
Wind up.
class will also, yeah, wind up getting it.
There's always digital marketing to find out which idea is working.
Yeah, or I can tell you right now,
Yeah.
digital marketing. It's yeah. So this was this is the R2D2 schematic. Um, yeah, challenges. It's not necessary for this presentation, but what we had is like one day before the demo, our Raspberry Pi stopped working, and we blew the MD49 driver, which was. So yeah, we ended up using a couple of controllers. This was the new one, which did not work that good, and this was the old one that we had from the college itself. That was fairly, it was working really nicely. And future features, which probably some other team will do. Yes, yeah. I'll take you to the documentation because you asked me about documentation. So this is the normal code that we had, and let me take you to the main this thing. Okay, so yeah, this was the main code. This is like Python code, and you asked me about like how you have registered instructions in Raspberry Pi. So we were running a code, and this is one of the important things. Can you see in something called evdev?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, evdev.
Easy
Yeah, so
dev.
this is evdev. Evdev is a library for Python, which what it does is like whenever it registers that your Raspberry Pi has connected with Bluetooth controller, it will start a loop, and it will in the loop it will always check like what was the button pressed, and we have mapped this thing. So we have mapped these mappings, and in the loop it will keep on looking for what was pressed, and based on what was pressed, if event code is y button, then do something, and in this case it will play a music.
Okay.
X button, it will play different music. uh, A button, different music, something like that. For the moment, which was more interesting, we had two motors running. So if if you were moving x axis, left horizontal axis is getting pressed, so what it will do is it will give some speed to the motor, and it would be between 0 to 127 or 127 to 255. So 127 is the value we want to give to the motor for stopping it. Anything less than 127 will go to clockwise, and anything less than more than 127 go anti-clockwise. So if you have to go straight, both the motors should be more than or less than 127, but they should have the same value. It will go straight. And similarly, it's for backward. And when you are taking turn, you have to make sure that the right motor is rotating faster than left, so it will take turn. And that is where this computation was happening. So this is the main moment code for this.
How did
So
this
adjusting.
digit 127 arrive?
Oh, 127. It's in the documentation of that particular motor that we were using it.
Okay, okay.
So and think of it that way. So everything is 8 bits in this type of motors, and 8 bits have 0 to 255 range, which is 256 values to the power 8. And what how they had designed is like they have halved the 0 to 255 into two parts: 0 to 127, 127 to 255. So they divided, bifurcated this range. First range was for clockwise, second range was for anti-clockwise, and the mid value 127 for rest. And I can show you the test for it. So these are some of the test file that we had. So you just have to use this motors dot set speed as 140. 140, it will set the speed for the both motors at 140, and both will start moving. So the robot will start going forward and with speed of 140 minus 127 with the speed of 13 bits. So this was Python code. It's fairly easy to understand. It's very generic. The other code that you wanted to see was Arduino DOM code, which is C. It's slightly difficult to read when you compare it to Python, but yeah, fairly easy when compared to. Well, I have seen some code in embedded systems which was like too horrible. So this is still makes sense. So yeah, so this is the code which was in head. Not proud of the code because it's not very modularized. It's not a well written code for sure, but gets the job done. And then we
So
were always on a crunch time. Yeah.
this was this was not completely written on ChatGPT.
No, 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 no.
That's where the limitation arrives, right? There are a lot
Oh
of
no, no,
things
you
that
can't. You can't. I don't think so. ChatGPT can write this right now. In fact, when we were trying to debug something, we ended up talking to ChatGPT a lot, and it wasn't helpful at all. We wished we were wishing so hard that it should run, but I think at that point of at the current level of ChatGPT, it was tough for it to realize which. So this is a particular library, Adafruit NeoPixel for one particular type of LEDs, and it was continuously making mistake into like what should I use. So for the Python code, it was able to generate a good amount of code. We validated that, but for C code, I don't think so. Not right now. You still need to know your basics.
right.
Yeah. So, um, I mean, that's all I have for you. If I'm missing out on anything, let me know. I can talk about it.
Uh, so where did the IoT came? Like
Oh, IoT is everything, right? Motors and Raspberry Pi. The Raspberry Pi is connected to Wi-Fi as well. So
that
IoT
complete
came into the picture
schematic
where
form that you have
the
showed.
complete schematic, yeah. And think of it that way. Internet of Things is what a lot of different things talking to each other. In this case, Arduino was talking to a Raspberry Pi wirelessly, and Bluetooth controller was talking to Raspberry Pi wirelessly. So a lot of moving components are talking with each other, so to make sure things are working fine. We had LEDs which are working, uh, and you can control this R2D2 using an app. That is something which is planned for the next year students. What they want to do is like this can be used as something which you can remotely sitting on the network of the college. You can control R2D2, which is you'll have a web interface. You can have a mobile app for like you playing with the robot there. And how that would work is like you'll have a web server running on the network, and it will be continuously giving instructions to the R2D2, and R2D2 will be running a web server which will be listening for the instructions, and it will be running around doing whatever is being asked to.
And if I have to learn from scratch writing this code that you have showed of the
Mhm.
Python and the C, how much
Uh-huh.
time will that take to learn?
That's an interesting question. I
Uh,
think to get the understanding, you have like solid 1.5, 2 years to understand that.
at least 2 years.
At least 2 years. I can give you the books. I know the excellent books to start with. I can give you the books, but it'll take time because how much have you coded in your life?
Mm, nearly 0.01% of
That's not a good
what you
percentage.
have quoted.
That's not a good percentage. Because I took Java programming in 11th, 12th. Then I quit programming, did not do programming for the next 2 years in my engineering. Third year, fourth year, I started again because I had to. And then my job in electronics I wasn't getting any job, so I ended up getting something in IT and then been coding ever since. So it's been a long process. So I have had like coding for 10, 11 years now. So for me, it was fairly simple. For you, it would be fairly simple after 2 years. That is if you read the book. And then again,
You
as I'm saying, like I am also studying right now, so I'm also reading, prepping for stuff. So,
right? No, actually, because like if you have the right books, absolutely we can cover up. But you have practiced it in so many different kinds of applications that you know the issues that usually come up. You like debugging you have mentioned.
yeah, you know what? This is what I personally believe. Like you go in software engineering interviews, they're like, "Oh, can you code this stuff?" To me, that's nonsensical because you'll never be coding that stuff in your job. To you, what makes it more appealing is like how well are you able to debug. So with experience, you get like, "Oh, I should have tried this to debug this. Oh, I should try this," and then you have your own personal documentation. Things are not working. I'm gonna go ahead and try these steps. That is more invaluable. But the way interview happens, I'm too small of a person to make change or impact software industry in this case. So I'm also in the rat race, like, okay, chalo, data structures and algorithms. I'll read about it and then prepare for the interview, kind of stuff. But honestly, debugging skills is much more useful in job, is what I have heard. And the other thing is documentation. Hey, the more you document, I actually have my own blog coming up. I It won't be interesting for you, but just to prove my point of what I mean. Okay, who's the chat. So this is like my personal blog thing I'm developing right now. I sent in the chat. Uh, and, like I want to keep this as a place where I find silly mistakes which one can avoid but mostly don't, and the fix is real easy. And I want to document that because these are the things which haunt you often, and you want to, you know, not waste time once you have done that. Basically, I'm trying to compile a lot of issues in that. It's a work in beginning. I only have like 3 or 4 articles, but hopefully, by the end of the year, I will have like sizable amount of 150 plus articles on that. Hopefully, but yeah, and this is for nothing, for no one. This is just for me. If somebody else gets help from it, I'm more than happy.
Absolutely.
So yeah, that's
I
all I
was
have for you. If you need anything else, any other resource, I'll be more than happy to share with you. But yeah,
yeah. Just last thing that I wanted to ask. Uh, so I like we keep seeing advertisements related to data science.
yeah.
So you also mentioned something related to data structure.
Oh yeah,
So
those are
okay, those are two different things.
two different things. Data science is a more nuanced, evolved way of looking at things. Like you have data, which is a lot of data stream that you have, like a lot of data, and potentially, if you are working for a data science position, it's that you are trying to extract meaningful data out of a lot of jumbled data, and you're trying to feed it to a pipeline, which would do some machine learning stuff. So, data scientists usually go for machine learning stuff, and they are very good with numbers and drawing patterns and visualization. Data structure is at a more low level things. Uh, you can say that data scientists are working on things which are a more evolved forms of data structures. But normally, you won't see them struggling with arrays, linked list, hash maps. Those are what usually we deal with. Data scientist is an entire ball game, and honestly, the pay that they're getting, I wish I was a data scientist, but I'm not.
So
Uh,
what does it take to become a data scientist? Because
Nothing.
they are
I don't
offering
think
six
so.
months, just 6 months course, and you will become a data science.
You definitely need math. You need math. You need math. Unfortunately, you should be good at calculus. You should be good at algorithms. Algorithms is a key thing. The algorithms, clustering. Honestly, the job market, who knows, 6 months of data scientist, you might end up getting a good job. And once you get your foot in, that's it. So
Is
Go
it?
for it. Are you looking for pivoting to a different career now?
Um, yeah, I am not getting enough salary right now. As a video
Mm,
editor, it's like very struggling market right now. I can of course become a freelancer and do two jobs, but I don't want that. I just want
yeah, you don't
one
want
job.
that exactly.
Yeah, I want one job with a good satisfaction also. So data science does, I studied the initial part of data science. So firstly, I have to do some data sorting and data wrangling, data cleaning.
Mhm,
This is how
mhm.
I will have to get started. And gradually I will go and become more towards, uh, Excel will start, and then other I have explored Power BI, so because I like visualization. So Power BI does give, it's like an Excel itself, although
Mhm.
I was just trying the software. So I like the software, and I really as I have been working in marketing, so I like
Okay.
finding insights, and I am also planning for masters in like MBA, business administration. So that will really help, because at last an MBA graduate has to become a data person. They have to identify the right insights from the data.
I mean, yeah, I fully support your decision to like go into data scientist, and you
Because
have
but
had
that
marketing and
requires,
insight, right?
yeah, but that require, I have studied that it requires AI ML understanding. It requires coding.
और सब मैं बता रहा हूँ सब हवा में बातें चल रही है इंडिया में एआईएमएल के नाम पे कुछ नहीं है
अच्छा।
डेटा साइंटिस्ट से क्यों कोडिंग करवाओगे यार क्यों कराओगे
क्यों?
कोडिंग डेटा साइंटिस्ट थोड़ी ना है वो बेचारा डेटा साइंटिस्ट है वो एआई कोडिंग क्यों करवा लोगे आप उससे एआई में एमएल में कोडिंग का ही यूज नहीं होता एआई का मेन बैकएंड इज डेटा द क्वालिटी ऑफ डेटा डिटरमाइंस योर प्रेडिक्शंस बेस्ड ऑन इट दैट्स इट दुनिया में एआई एमएल पे कोई कोड दिख नहीं रहा है 10 लोग को छोड़ के एंड दे हैव देयर ओन फ्रेमवर्क्स कॉल्ड टेंसरफ्लो keras pytorch everybody is using the same thing the only thing is what amount of data they have what amount of algorithms maybe some people are trying to like create their own framework at the end of the day india के नाम पे AIML data scientist से कोई कहीं coding नहीं करा रहा
Okay, the mainly
तो
statistics or जो you mentioned mathematics is the key.
you should know your tools like data scientist के लिए बहुत अच्छे tools आते हैं I think Hadoop है if you get specialization in Hadoop you're set big data बहुत सारे tools आते हैं so all that thing is for data scientists although I'm not a good person to talk about data scientists because I don't myself know a lot but I know this like if somebody is asking data scientist to code उसको नहीं पता फिर वो क्या करवाना चाह रहा है that I 100% know. So tooling, like get a good tool. Data science, Power BI is really popular, but I don't think so. It gives you that kind of insight. Hadoop maybe was it's old now, but
Hadoop
I
तो
had to
मैंने,
figure out.
like I am listening it for the first time. Hadoop,
Oh,
Apache Hadoop. Is that
Apache Hadoop.
this?
Yeah, it's for
Okay,
big data. So get like look out for a tooling and try to get good at it, and hopefully you will get something out
in
of it from data science point of view. एक
absolutely.
बार अंदर
I'm
घुसने का
trying.
प्रॉब्लम है
हाँ, वही डेडिकेट करूंगा मैं टाइम उसको, अंदर घुसने
नहीं
का
मैं
भी
तो ये भी
प्रॉब्लम।
बोल रहा हूँ, अंदर घुसने का प्रॉब्लम है अंदर आप जाके देखो तो सब एक दूसरे को काट रहे हैं ये क्या है
वो
बोलो
तो
ऐसे जाते रहो इंटरव्यू में ऐसे ऐसे करवा
वही
दिया था
चल
कि
रहा
ऐसे करवा लेंगे
है।
तो कोई नहीं है तो भाई अब इस समय मैं भी अनएम्प्लॉयड हूँ तो मुझे भी लगता है कि क्या है क्यों नहीं है ये है वो है नहीं मिल रही जॉब ये वो
वही
और एक बार अंदर चले जाओ तो फिर लगता है कि क्या ही क्यों इतना टफ इंटरव्यू लेते भी क्यों जब करवाना तुम्हें नहीं है हाँ, मैं 9 साल से वही किया मैंने। मैंने कहा अरे तो जब इंटरव्यू लेते हो तो बड़े भारी बातें हुई थी, आप तो क्या हल्के में बैठे हो। तो वही है भाई जिसके पास जो नहीं है उसको लगता है कि वही सब कुछ है, अब जब आ जाएगा तब
वही
देखा जाएगा।
डिमांड की जो बात कही है,
हुँ,
ओवरऑल वो अंडरस्टैंड करना ही अपने आप में बहुत बड़ा चैलेंज
वही है
है।
अब
ओके।
भाई बाकी तो श्री कृष्ण